When you're in a concert, giving a concert, and you absorb the energy of people who love you, then you can be the most honest in music. Hello dear friends, hello dear viewers. My name is Andrea Cicalese and this is Living the Classical Life.
Today we are in Porto, a city of only 200,000 inhabitants on the Atlantic that gave Portugal its name. Today it's a major tourist attraction, beloved for its historic center as well as its most famous export, port wine. It's here that we discuss with the young violinist Andrea Cicalese how to navigate ambitions at the start of a promising career, to prepare for performances at prestigious venues and orchestras across Europe and the United States, and how to identify your own voice and keep integrity while pursuing opportunities.
Andrea, it's wonderful to see you again, first of all.
Thank you so much. It's wonderful to see you too.
We've had people twice, and you remain to this date still the youngest guest we've ever featured. Now, there are a couple of reasons why we're doing this. A, there's an opportunity to follow the development of a young musician where at this point things are evolving for you so rapidly.
And I thought actually about this, about even the name of the show, Living the Classical Life, right? That implies that since we are living it, it's a constant change.
We met virtually because I had found your channel through Instagram, Polyphonix, and so I just wrote to thank you for what you were doing. Can you just briefly describe what Polyphonix is and how that evolved?
It was during the quarantine, and I had the urge and the will to still somehow make my contribution to this wonderful world that is the musical world. And so I would review my favorite CDs and present them to the young generation and say what I loved about them in short 10-minute video formats.
So for our viewers, can you state your age for those who don't know?
I'm 17 right now.
In a few days you're turning 18.
In 4 days I'm turning 18.
So with this rapid growth of your musical performing opportunities in this past year, what has that felt like for you?
Honestly, it was, I'm not going to say unexpected, but very a period that was so packed that while it was happening, I didn't realize. But now looking back at the last 8 months, I realize, oh my God, how did I even manage? I wouldn't have thought about all these things when we last met in October, for example. I didn't know that they existed.
I know you're a person who is very eager to jump on any opportunity at all, in your great excitement for all aspects of life. But I also happen to know, because you told me sometimes in your preparation for some of these performances that you were so exhausted that you could almost cry, and yet you sourced some energy and you made it happen, obviously successfully. Where did you source that energy?
Well, during the performances that we talked about, it was although it was not a long time ago, it was a very different moment of my life because of the fact that I was just graduating from high school, gymnasium in Germany, and doing my Abitur, which is very challenging for each student. And having this violin also as a central point of my life, as well as my health, my family, my friends, and school, of course, made my life a bit more difficult as I was traveling to Leipzig, Berlin, Karlsruhe. I played in Berlin Philharmonic, and then the next day I was playing Mendelssohn Concerto in Karlsruhe with a completely different program, and 2 days later was mathematics graduation. I got my resources simply by understanding that the things I was stressed and worried about were beautiful things. Because think about it. I was saying, I'm very stressed, but what am I stressed about? Oh no, I'm playing in Berlin Philharmonic. So whenever I got in these moments, maybe I recharge my energies by spending time with friends, relaxing, maybe one day not practicing, maybe one day having a conversation with my friends, Paolo and Antonio, or other friends that don't play music, and telling them how I felt and seeing what they had to say. And often people who are not musicians have the most honest answers, where you're like, oh, yeah, actually it's pretty simple. It's something nice that I'm doing, and people believe in me.
Let's talk a little bit about the mindset of how you prepared for both of these opportunities. First with orchestra, because I know that you were also completing your studies. You didn't have that much extra time and energy to even get to the violin. You didn't have that much time to even learn the repertoire, which was new to you. So how did you prepare with your teacher, first the piece, but then also for yourself psychologically?
The preparation was quite strange, as I didn't know what is really the difference between playing with a pianist or playing alone in comparison to playing with an orchestra. And the real preparation for this was from the day before the concert to the day of the concert. After the general rehearsal, I understood what it's about, and I was able to mentally prepare. And then, of course, from one day to the other, everything changed. I was making fun about this with the conductor I played with, because the rehearsal, I played well and everything was fine, but in comparison to the concert was another level. It's simply because it's experience. So I had done this before, and I understood what to look for, what to listen for in the orchestra, and what to watch out for in a concerto so complex such as Sibelius Violin Concerto.
You were going to walk onto stage and play for the first time with an orchestra with a piece that you hadn't performed before?
I hadn't, no.
In those circumstances, is there a primary focus of your attention right before you start to play? Is it rhythm? Is it sound? Is it the surroundings? Is it a feeling?
Since I'm 7, 8 years old, I wanted to perform this. And being able to do something like this was for me something that I couldn't explain to myself how lucky I am to be doing something like this. And so, of course, before the concert, I was a bit nervous because I didn't know the circumstances. There was only one rehearsal, and for Sibelius, that's not a lot.
You always seem like Mr. Confidence. It didn't seem to me like you would be a person who would have to deal with nerves. How did you deal with them?
I accepted that it's there. And especially in that occasion, I felt like whatever happens, I played my orchestral debut after this. And whatever happens, this is the first time I'm ever doing this. I'm not a robot. But that's only before the concert. During the concert, I'm very lucky. I'm not nervous. I have adrenaline, of course, that pumps into my blood, and that's needed because I need to feel the energy from the audience and give it back in an amplified version and volume. But during the concert, I genuinely felt only the happiness of being there. And before I accepted, okay, I'm nervous, but that's fine, that's good. And I was happy about it because I was saying, I always thought that before such a thing I would be nervous. And now look at me being in this position and having the opportunity to be nervous for this. And that's amazing, no?
How do you ensure that the incredible feeling of fulfillment that you have doesn't turn into the type of confidence which can grow above the point where you need to find, if I had to characterize it in a certain way, the type of humility which is required for growth. That's a very loaded question, obviously.
Yeah, it's a very difficult question, but the thing is, my key priority in life are my human qualities and my qualities as person. And the only reason why I've been able to receive some of the opportunities I've received is because I try to learn from everyone like a sponge, absorbing what other musicians tell me. For example, recently in Leipzig, I was having a conversation with Marta Argerich, which we both adore. And what I was fascinated the most about her, apart, of course, from the incredible musicianship of a lifetime, is the person, the persona. She was asking me questions. She was interested about me. She wanted to learn from my experience and asked follow-up questions. And that mesmerized me because, of course, I was doing the same to her. And I was having like a conversation with a 25-year-old who was on the same stage of career like me. She was just having a conversation with me. And I thought, what a humble person. I want to be like her one day.
Another place that we crossed paths was the Verbier Festival. I didn't have much time to spend with you there because I was filming more of these episodes, but we did cross paths at the recital of Sergei Babayan, and I witnessed how extremely excited you were there. What were you responding to?
Oh, I was responding to inventive genius of a sincere musician, and of course, for me, this recital hit even more because I know him as a person and he's been particularly kind towards me. I was noticing how a musician of this caliber, touring worldwide, was still able to do what I think is the principle in the core of music, which is to be sincere and to be there because you want to be there. And Sergei Babayan is unique in this world. And that's why he has the reputation that he has.
I know you're always setting yourself to a very high standard. Is there a way you can ensure your growth from yourself? And I know that's apart from your amazing teacher in Josef Risin.
Yes. So I think there is two aspects of growth. One is actually being satisfied with one's playing. So what am I actually doing? But growth means also a character growth in the life of being a musician. So that means that after a concert, even if I'm not satisfied with the playing in general, I still have the opportunity to be happy about it. For example, let's say I play Mendelssohn Violin Concerto, I'm making something up, and I'm giving the best of myself artistically. And at home, I was prepared. I prepared technically, and then one or two notes are out of tune. 2 years ago, I would have thought about at home only the two notes out of tune. But nowadays, I think, did I make the audience have a better day? Did I try to give my contribution to the souls that came to listen to my concert? And did I enjoy? Did I have a good time? Was I being a good narrator to the music that is so written? And Rachmaninoff says music is about points, right? So did I get to the point? If that's the case, I'm happy. Then I listen and I say, okay, here there is something not good, let's practice it. But during the concert, I don't care because nobody else cares.
Andrea, you happened to be here on vacation in Portugal, and so we crossed paths by accident. You came to my recital here at Porto Pianofest.
The wonderful recital. It was so inspiring.
Thank you so much. And that's why we're here. In fact, you're here with your friends. You listened, the three of you came to my rehearsal, and you were giving me feedback on what you were hearing in the hall. And at one point, you were gauging the acoustic, and you were suggesting to me a slightly slower tempo and allowing something to breathe. And the thing that you said to me was that, yeah, that was more honest. And that struck me because I hadn't heard that type of feedback specifically, because honesty always seems like a means by which we communicate. I never tied that into an acoustic or a tempo. In a more overarching sense, what is honesty for you, the type that you suggested to me?
If I play in Munich, for example, as we mentioned before, in Brunnenhof, in an open air setting, I cannot play like I would play in Carnegie Hall. That doesn't work because it's so completely different. And the fact that maybe in that concert there was my family, then my school teachers, and then my friends, that made me play a different way because I was showing my gratitude towards them for coming. And then the open air setting made me play maybe a bit louder with a bit more volume during the second movement. And that's honesty is trying not to make yourself look the best, but trying to get the others the feeling that you want them to have, and that changes from place to place.
Glenn Gould used to say that for him, playing at home was the hardest thing, because these are the people who really know his highest standards. I think that ties into the question of what our expectations are of ourselves and what we perceive the expectations to be of others.
Yes, friends and family have the highest standards for me because they've seen me perform at my best. They've seen me perform at my lowest, so they also know what is my lowest. And I cannot pretend like something went well when it didn't, maybe. At the same point, and at the same time, friends and family also have the knowledge of you as a person. So it means that when you're in a concert, giving a concert, and you absorb the energy of people who love you, then you can be the most honest in music during a concert. Why? Because music is a manifestation of love. There are 2,000 people gathered in a place for the same reason that I'm gathered there, which is to enjoy the music of great composers and great geniuses. And talking about Munich, Brunnenhof, this concert, it's weird, but it made me feel for the first time completely welcomed in the city. I live in Munich since 10 years. But seeing all these people, and during the second movement I was looking in the audience just because the place was so nice, and seeing all these people attentive, listening to what I was doing and listening to what my thoughts were about a well-known concerto, as someone who lives in Munich, and then their enthusiastic standing ovation in the end, and so many fans and just people who in the end showed their gratefulness towards music, towards what I did, was a moment that was very emotional for me, because I felt like, look at this city where I live in, that makes me feel at home. And part of this reason was because of my family. My family from Italy was there. They traveled all the way from Italy to hear this concert. Grandma, grandpa, uncles, everybody was there, because for me it was a special occasion. And then there were also from school where I just graduated, maths teacher, music teacher, German teacher. And of course, this made me realize that I have a family in Munich too. I don't identify Munich now as only the city where I study, but I identify Munich as the city who has given me the opportunity to become myself. Well, Buffalo is, of course, it's one of these places that is now also growing very closely to my heart, because music is this trip where you come back to places too, right? And Buffalo is a place that is very, very central in my being. I played my first full-length recital there, and it was with the amazing pianist Alexander Malofeev, who I don't only adore as musician and as icon of the piano of today's generation, but also as person and as a big brother almost, and someone who gives me advice and who listens to my advice too.
You were searching for a new instrument, and I happen to know that you found one.
Yes, I'm very, very lucky.
Or was it alone?
Alone,
Yes.
exactly. From Giovanni Cornero and the Music Masterpieces Adopt a Musician Foundation Lugano. And of course, they've changed my life completely. For the viewers who don't play an instrument, it's like, basically, imagine you are talking and you want to express something, and you have a certain vocabulary. And now someone gives you and gifts to you a lot more words that help you be more relatable to certain people and express things and how you feel them in a way that everybody understands exactly. So that's a palette of colors in violin. I can show what I want to show much clearer somehow. And this violin, I feel the support of the instrument, even in the highest position and in the warmth of the instrument, in the greatest legati or vibrati, and everything I'm doing is, of course, completely different. And while I'm practicing, maybe I discover a color that I've never heard before. And that's only possible on this instrument. And now this gives me the opportunity to research this color and to try to rediscover it for future interpretations where I can be more honest through this.
You're at an age in the development of a young musician. The usual thing to do is to enter some competitions. I noticed that you're not jumping into this world. Why not?
If I find myself in a moment, a 25-year-old, where I see I want to specifically have this type of career and right now it's not working and therefore I need a competition to do it, maybe I will consider. But right now I can see that I'm having some wonderful opportunity. I've been patient until now, of course, trying to search for my luck and doing everything I can, planning everything that regards career. But for now it's not needed to do a competition for me. And I don't like competing against other musicians, because often when I go to festivals or many gala concerts, I see so many musicians who are completely different and who, if they were in a competition, I would let everybody win because everybody had something honest to say.
And finally, Andrea, we're talking about your it's funny to have you reflecting on your musical journey because you're 17, but I'm sure that you have some vision of where you would like to go, some dreams that you would like to see in your immediate future. Where would you like your path to go?
My path shall take me where it shall, but but my big dream is for me, now I played in one of my homes, Munich, and it would be for me to play in Naples. A special connection to Teatro San Carlo, because it's positioned in the very center of the most beautiful city in the entire world, in my opinion. And I've been to many concerts of the San Carlo with my grandparents and witnessed the history and the beauty of a unique theater. I mean, Mozart went there and attended concerts regularly the first time when he was 14. It's the most historic and old lyrical theater that is still used today in entire Europe. And of course it has a reputation of one of the most important theaters in the world. But for me, the key point about Teatro San Carlo is that I would like to give a recital or an orchestral performance there for the people of Naples, who are the people that contributed in making me the human I am with their generosity, with their kindness, and I would like to give back to a city in the form of music what they've given to me.
Andrea, it was really wonderful to have you join. I'm sure that in a year's time, in 10 years' time, and 20 years' time, we'll have still so much to talk about. Thank you for being an example to so many people, including myself, but so many young viewers and viewers of all ages to this show, which is so meaningful for me to hear that you knew at all stages of your life.
And I would like sincerely to thank not only you, but everybody, the crew, and everybody around this show, Jutta Itna, and all the donors, for making this show possible, because this has changed the way I play just by listening. I want to thank you sincerely.
Thank you, Andrea. Thanks for being here.